Hello everyone, this is Gaston, admin of the Healthcare Engineering team. Welcome back to our Healthcare Engineering team's interview session. In this interview session, as we have mentioned earlier, we are going to share the knowledge from the experienced individuals to the students and the newbies to the healthcare industry. In today's interview, we are going to get the knowledge from Engineer Eng.Shamila Ariaratnam from Malaysia. Well, she is a well-experienced biomedical engineer, currently working on conformity assessment for medical devices and working as a lecturer in a well-reputed university in Malaysia. In this part 1 session, she is going to talk about her wide experience working as a biomedical engineer in a hospital in Malaysia. In this session, she is going to talk about what are the major duties she needs to cover up while working as a biomedical engineer in the hospital. We have part 2, 3 and 4 from her knowledge sharing session. We would like to request our supporters to stay tuned with the entire parts so that you can gain the knowledge from her. Finally, we would like to request our viewers to subscribe, share and provide your likes and comments to our videos. This will be a huge encouragement to our entire team so that we can provide more and more knowledgeable sessions like this in future. Thank you. On behalf of the Healthcare Engineering team, I'm welcoming you, Engineer Eng.Shamila Ariaratnam from Malaysia. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving us your wonderful time for us, and we hope that this session will be a huge knowledge sharing session for all the students and healthcare professionals who works in the industry. Thank you so much for your time and welcome to the Healthcare Engineering team's interview session.
Okay, so thank you very much to the Healthcare Engineering team for inviting me today to share my experiences. I also like to take this opportunity since Deepavali is around the corner to wish all those celebrating Deepavali a very happy Deepavali amidst all the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm sure it'll still be a very humble and happy and auspicious one.
Okay. So along with you, we wish all our viewers happy Diwali and stay safe at home during this pandemic situation. Thank you so much, ma'am. So let's start the session. Okay.
Okay. So
So since you are one of my
because
yeah, tell me.
okay. Carry on. Yeah, you want to give an introduction? Go ahead first. Yeah.
Yes, since you are one of my great mentors, so I know a little bit about you. So it would be great that if you give further details about yourself, ma'am, to our audience.
Okay. How do I say? Okay. I actually got into biomedical engineering in 2007, but I actually entered the working arena in 2000 after my graduation as electrical and electronic engineer from University Putra, Malaysia. It's one of the public universities in Malaysia located at Padang. My first job was actually in oil and gas. It was with Tri-Systems Engineering. We did oil and gas safety shutdown systems and fire and gas systems. So we used to work in a team on coming up with these systems, and I actually used to look at the factory acceptance test from design until delivering to customer. And then along the way, I also did a little bit on proposal preparations for bidding in project and a little bit of sales. And then shortly after that, I was given a scholarship by Honda Motor Corporation, Japan, to actually go to Japan for a 55 days study of the country and the modernization of Japan. So they normally select 2 professionals, young professionals from Southeast Asian countries to come over. So me and another friend of mine, another Malay girl, we were representing Malaysia. So I actually went for that. And then after that, I joined Matsushita Toshiba Picture Display, a company under the Panasonic group of companies. So that factory was actually into the manufacturing of the cathode ray tube television. So they were actually manufacturing the cathode ray tube, which is of course no longer, I mean, you hardly see it nowadays. And soon after that, the factory ceased operations, and
Okay.
I actually joined Subang Jaya Medical Center. And initially, I was employed as a quality engineer to assist the quality manager in all the implementations of the quality requirements in the hospital. And after that, based on my performance and the deliverables that I actually, contributed to the department and also the organization, the chief operating officer at that time offered me the position of heading the biomedical engineering department because the present manager was actually resigning. So I actually took up the challenge with my experience that I had, and by which time I also had almost in the completion stage of my master's in business administration. So together with my degree in electrical electronic engineering and also my master's in business administration, I took up the challenge to head the biomedical engineering department. So at that time, Subang Jaya Medical Center was the 393 bedded bedded hospital, multidisciplinary and
Mm-hmm.
tertiary care hospital. They have all sorts of
Okay.
specialities and all sorts of consultants from various specialities actually working there. And so, as as from the biomedical engineering department, we actually come across all sorts of equipment in our day-to-day work. So if I were to talk about my work in Subang Jaya Medical Center, it's predominantly operations and maintenance work, but it's not just maintenance. We also do, both preventive and corrective maintenance. We
Mm-hmm.
also do evaluation and, we give our opinion for evaluating new and possibly equipment to be replaced. We also do acceptance testing and commissioning. We also do incident investigation. We do performance tracking. We also give training. And finally, we also look into the disposal of the medical equipment safely. So if I
Mm-hmm.
want to go everything into depth, it'll be a formidable task in the time given. So I'll try to summarize as much as possible.
Okay.
So as a department, we had to look into whether it was necessary to replace an equipment. And if
Mm-hmm.
it was necessary to replace equipment, then we have to come up with reports from depreciation reports to the number of breakdowns to the cost that has gone into the repair and maintenance so far. And we also look if there's any product recalls related to it. And there's also things like has it come into obsolescence? Is the equipment obsolete? And therefore, in a few years' time, spare parts no longer will be available. So these are the kind of studies that we support the end user when they actually want to purchase a new equipment or they want to replace an equipment. Apart from that, we also advise them on new technologies. Yeah, if there's new technologies that can enhance the diagnosis or care of the patient, then we also give our input when it comes to purchasing or procuring new equipment. And
Mm-hmm.
then we come into incoming inspection, which
Mm-hmm.
means when the equipment is delivered to us, how do we accept it? Yeah. So we actually have procedures in place to guide us on doing the testing and commissioning to ensure that the equipment that we receive is safe and reliable to be used on the patient and by the clinicians. So normally this testing will be done in the presence of the supplier, so a representative from the manufacturer. It could be the authorized representative or distributor. So it will be their personnel together with our technical personnel and the end user. So we'll actually run the test to make sure that it meets the manufacturer's requirement as well as the tender or bid requirements as requested by the user. So once acceptance has been done, then we actually put it into our inventory list. So we actually used a computerized maintenance management inventory our medical devices in the hospital, and it's the same system that we use to raise work orders and also to record all the maintenance activities that take place. So once the equipment has gone into the register, we then schedule it for maintenance, right? So certain maintenance is undertaken in-house by our own staff, employees, and some we have to go back to the authorized representative because some of the equipment are proprietary and we don't have the technical knowledge or the tools to actually undertake the maintenance services. So we actually engage the supplier to do the maintenance services accordingly. And with that comes contract management, because if we are managing vendors coming in to do maintenance and things like that, so we have a contract management system going on. So we basically sign contracts so that we can get a more effective response from the supplier in terms of their response time, and also the downtime of the equipment will be reduced. And we also try to lock in the maintenance of years, if possible, minimum 3 years. So to make sure that costs don't supersede our budget. And then we also look at vendor evaluation. From time to time, we evaluate the performance of the vendors, so to make sure that they're always on their toes and providing us with the best service they can. Then, of course, we move on to corrective maintenance. So when there is a problem with the medical device, there are two types of issues. One is if it's a only machine in the hospital, or if probably an equipment that has several types of it. So we actually attend to corrective maintenance based on the criticality to the end user and patient. So we're always, busy. It's a very busy department because being in a private facility, it's a very lean workforce. For a 393 bedded hospital, we have actually 3 buildings, and in total, we actually have about 3,500 over equipment. And in terms of types, you could say we have about 1,500 different types of equipment, but it's the team of 5 of us that will manage this whole equipment program. And so we are always very, very busy, and it's very challenging, and the stress levels can be quite high sometimes.
Okay. So how many staffs were there under your
So,
supervision?
that brings us, I had 4
4 staffs.
engineers under me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so together with that, there's always performance tracking. So we have to ensure that, every month, 100%, if not 90% and above of the equipment are maintained on time. And all corrective maintenance, depending on the criticality, must be completed. Okay. So we have this performance tracking apart from our own personal key performance indices that the management has put for us. So basically, as a department, these are the 2 key indicators that we have. And of course, we want to stay away from any incidences. So if there are any incidences, we have to do a thorough investigation. So we actually sequester the equipment. We even look at whether there was any false interaction with medication. Yeah, so we actually put the patient at the center, and we actually see what came into contact with the patient, right, when we do our investigation. And then we also conducted training, yeah, for our users. Certain training will be provided by the supplier. So when we normally purchase the new equipment, the supplier will actually come in and do the training. But subsequently, refresher trainings and all that, the in-house staff will actually undertake the responsibility of refreshing the users on usage of the equipment. Besides that, as a technical department ourselves, we also have to keep ourselves abreast with all the changes and all the the how technology evolves so quickly, right? So the same thing happens with medical devices, right? So we have to keep ourselves informed, not only on the application, but also how to maintain it, because from one model to a model, the changes might happen.
Okay.
So generally, in-house, we used to look at most of the mobile devices like syringe pumps, infusion pumps, pulse oximeters, defibrillators, sphygmomanometers, respirators, phototherapy lights. So majority of the mobile devices, we would actually undertake the maintenance. But all the high-end equipment, we would actually get the supplier to come and take a look at the maintenance or corrective action. So we would just probably do the first level troubleshooting. So when we
Okay.
actually engage them to come and look into it, they can actually respond better if we can actually tell them what's the root cause of the problem. So those are the types of things that we actually do. And then besides that, Subang Jaya is popular, being a cancer center of choice. So it has a
Oh,
lot of
okay.
equipment, in the diagnosis and care of cancer patients. So, for diagnosis, we actually have a dual source computed tomography scanner. We have the magnetic resonance imaging. We have the 3 Tesla as well as the 1.5 Tesla. We also have the single photon emission computed tomography, or in short, the acronym is SCT/CT. We also have the positron emission tomography. We also have the hybrid angio CT system. We also have the gastro-colon full spectrum endoscopy system, apart from the mammography and ultrasound. So we have a very comprehensive
Yeah,
set of
understand.
equipment for oncology imaging. And then
Yeah.
for radiation purposes, we actually have the external beam radiation brachytherapy, intensity modulated radiation therapy, image guided radiation therapy, radiosurgery equipment, tomotherapy, and intraoperative radiation therapy equipment. So as you can see, from the sounds of it itself, it's definitely proprietary and
Yeah.
requires technical competence. And normally these kind of equipment, suppliers rarely uh, pass on the knowledge to biomedical technicians in the hospital. So they do provide training, but to the level of giving first level troubleshooting response. Yeah, so
Okay.
anything more than that, maintenance or any other breakdown or corrective maintenance is actually undertaken by the supplier. So
Something.
apart
Okay.
from that, we also have state-of-the-art laboratory facility,
Oh, I see.
which is
Okay.
the lab is actually accredited to ISO 15189, which is actually the medical laboratories requirements for quality and competencies.
Okay.
So as a biomedical engineering department, we we just had to know a little bit of everything.
Yes, 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 of course.
So
I agree.
uh, that's how it is in the hospital. That's how it is in the hospital. We can't escape. We need to know enough to at least appease the end users, to tell them that what's the issue and how fast we can turn around the machine so that it's up and running again, so that they can actually continue their services to the patients. So that's about Subanjaya Medical Center. So we actually the hospital is actually accredited to the Joint Commission International Standards. And locally, we are accredited to the Malaysian Society for Quality in Health Standard. So, by complying to these two standards, which is actually specific for healthcare providers, as opposed to ISO 9001, which is a general quality management system standard. So these two standards emphasize the role the hospital has to play in providing quality service to the patients as well as clinicians. So as a biomedical engineering department, we never escape from any audit. So these are just quality and safety compliance audits. So we also have audits related to the environment management system, which is the ISO 14001.